Okay, it's much colder today. I'm back on my little trap line here where I caught those fox yesterday in the cables, and I'm pulling my 2 cables because the cable might be ruined, but like I said, you can repurpose them, and I'll reuse my cable anchors and my support wires. I can reuse those. That's the number 11 wire is really nice for that. It's pretty sturdy. The fox or whatever animal you catch would knock it down and pretty much knock it flat. You can just pull it back up out of the ground and reuse it. But you can see here behind me the catch circle from the other fox. See how it's all flat? So they flattened down a big area. So now you can see, like here, the trail he came through this briar here and then out into the open grass. And it was a pretty hard trail right here. You can still see what's left of it here where this deadfall is. You can still see the trail, what's left of it. And then it continues on out that way. And if you look right there, I have another cable there. And then it splits this way, I have another cable there. So I have all the pathways covered. You see here, it's ripped up. Look at it, it's ripped up with a deer. There you can see little cable there. Now both of those cables, actually the other cable wasn't in bad condition. This one's a little more twisted up. I think he was rolling on it. He was rolling on the cable. You can see in the bottom of it here, it's more kinked. But I'll just use my regular earth anchor tool I use for pulling my foothold traps. I'll put that on the eye of the kid so I don't drive the cable all the way down to the ground. I just leave the eye loop of the cable for the anchor out, and then I can yank them out and reuse them. It'll come out pretty easy here because the ground is pretty muddy. Okay, here's the first catch circle. You see you can see the very evident trail running right down the center of it, and it continues on out there. So further down here I have more cables, but you can see once you make a catch in a spot, it's pretty much done because they'll circle and they'll run and they'll flatten it down. So what you would ideally want to do is move further down the trail here. You see where I'm following it. You can see in here it was flattened down. There's some deer laying in it. The deer will come in and lay in it in here. Same here, deer moving around in it. You can see shorter trails. They're here where it's flat there to the ground. Now that might be a coon. See how it's the grass on top of it is still pretty closed over, but the trail is really low. That might be a coon doing that. But what I would do now to reset this is come down here to where I have another pinch point, like right there where that goldenrod is here. Like right here. And set that, or like a little further on right there. You see now here, we had a 2-track and an ATV. We drove the ATV through here. So you can see I have another cable here on this side and another cable in here on this side in those 2 tracks. And I have them staggered. So I have one here, one in the center, and then one at the opposite end of it down here. So if I catch one, I still have the potential to catch another one on the other side. But yeah, that's unfortunately, you can see here is another trail that leads this way. Goes out that way. Now that's a deer trail, you can see, because it's pretty clear. But I have a cable in that one too. Okay, we'll hook this in and we'll pull this out. Like I said, the cable is pretty good, but hook it on there, pull, and out it comes. Look at it, pull the whole log out with it. See how wet the ground is? Look at that, it's just mud. Pure mud. But my anchor will be reusable. clean that mud, that lug off of it. There we go. So my anchor itself is not bent or anything. See, it's still straight. And sometimes these will bend if you're pulling them up out of frozen ground. They'll horseshoe. You can straighten them out and reuse them. They'll still work. Those are pretty stout. Those are really good anchors. You can see the cable is twisted. That's pretty much useless, but we'll save the swivel off of it. The anchor, we can keep all that. And we can reuse those components. You can buy the cable and make your own cables, like I said, as long as you know where to put all your stops and stuff. This was really wet. It's dried out a little bit today. It was really wet in here because it was just boggy. It was sinking up to my ankles. We can see how wet the ground is. So I had that anchor all the way down into here. In wet ground like this, he can't. It's not like if you have a short chain on a stake, and like especially if coyotes like to jump to pull the stake up out of the ground. If I was staking with a regular stake in here, on a trap, I would probably double stake it because this ground is pretty soft. But it's not frozen. Now today it's much colder today than it was yesterday. But I've heard too, I've never actually tried it, but this whole area now really, I mean, it reeks, even today, it still reeks of fox, because the fox I caught here was a dog fox, and there's a very strong odor of fox gland, pretty strong scent. So this would be like an ideal location to put a foothold trap in. There's an old deadfall bits of log here and stuff. I could use that for backing, and you know, put a dirt hole in here, or you know, like a scent post. Well, we wouldn't need a scent post, but I could put a dirt hole set or something in here, and then put a regular foothold trap in this area, because especially with red fox, if you anybody who knows who traps fox, if you trap fox in a foothold trap and you have a little bit of a catch circle where you caught a fox, you have a very high likelihood of making a second catch or a third catch in that location for fox. I don't know about coyote. I've never caught coyote, so I don't know about coyote. I've heard guys say that they won't reset the same catch circle if they've caught a coyote in it. Some guys will, and they'll catch repeated catches. Other guys, not so much, that the coyotes are pretty leery of a catch circle. I don't know. I'd be interested to see, you know, more information on that, but I can't speak from experience on that. But I do know for fox, if you catch fox, you have a very high likelihood of catching another fox in that set. Now I've also caught possum and coon in dirt holes, and then remade that dirt hole and come back the following day and there was a fox in it. So don't be afraid to reset them. The only time you wouldn't do that is if you're dealing with a soup bowl. You know, if it's like now with this ground here that's super muddy. Setting soup bowls super difficult. Just pull that trap and move it. Alright, well, save my cable support as well, reuse those. Really like those. I'm gonna get more of those. I like those a lot. Okay, let's get on out of here. No catches today. Gonna pick up my 2 DPs, and then I'll leave some of these cables in here. We'll leave them for another week or so and see if we catch anything else. Really like a coyote to cruise in through here. I would really like a coyote to cruise in through here. I was super pleased with that double yesterday on the fox though. Super pleased with that. Okay, let's get on down the trail. Well, I'm sitting back in my van. I was gonna video outside, but it's pouring. It's pouring rain. This seems to be the theme for the 2022-2023 trapping season. It's just pouring. I'm checking traps there in 3 inches of water, and it's mid-January. That's just crazy. It's crazy. I mean, a lot of times we get freeze thaw here, and we have had a little bit of that, but mostly it's just been thaw and rain. It's like, that's how this season has gone. I'm gonna give those sets a little while longer and see what happens, but We'll see what comes along. And I know, having caught a number of animals out here, that my targets have gone down because the fox won't start to disperse till way later. Coyotes, I haven't seen any coyote sign at all. I checked the trail cameras that I had up there around my sets, and I did see one nice buck that made it through the deer season, so he's going to be really nice next year. That's good. But other than that, not much action. Winter trapping is like that for me though. It's feast or famine. I can go, week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, not many catches, and then in one night they'll move a lot. Animals will move, and all of a sudden I have 4 or 5 catches, or 3 or 4 catches in one night. That's just how it is. All right, we'll continue on and talk to you on the next one. Well, me and my guardian angel here been trekking the trap line this morning, and we have a very prized catch. I see him up here wiggling around. He's a really nice one too. He's nicely furred. I was surprised I had a cage trap here that you've seen before. Okay, wait here. I had a cage trap that you'd seen before here. Hey, wait. But look what we have here. Yeah, the skunk. Don't get too close to him. What do you think of the woods pussy? He's just chilling right now, but we're not gonna get too close to him, right? Is he stinky? Like trapping bag? That's what I thought. Actually, he hasn't sprayed, so I'm hoping he doesn't spray. Maybe if he does, it's no big deal. Something that trappers are well used to is the smell of skunk. Doesn't even bother me anymore. I can't believe I didn't get him in that cage trap. Can't believe it. That's a pretty decent sized skunk there, and he's got a nice full double white stripe. Yeah, he's in good shape. First one I've caught all season. Actually, I don't catch a lot of skunks, believe it or not. You can see where he's been digging under a tree. Took a few coons out of here already, but this is the first skunk. I mean, this is the first skunk I've ever caught in a DP. I've caught them in footholds and stuff before, but never in DPs. Here we are, first catching a little bit. First skunk of the whole season. I honestly don't see a lot of skunks anymore. Used to. I don't see a lot of skunks anymore. I think their numbers have gone down. And I think part of that is that I think one of the rules in this state for damage trapping is you cannot release a skunk. By law, you're supposed to euthanize a skunk if you catch it, and you're not supposed to move it from one area to another. So skunks that are like nuisance trapped are euthanized right away, usually. He's just chilling. Pretty cool animal, really. I know people don't like catching him. I don't mind catching him. But like I said, he's a really nice one. He's got a nice big double stripe. Classic skunk stripe. I caught one here 2 seasons ago now. And he had a full white back. That was a really good one. I also have caught one before that's almost completely black. He just had a white cap on his head. So they come in different, patterns. All right, let's move on down the line. Be taking home something this game today. Here's our skunk. Actually, this is the first skunk I think I've ever caught that has a perfect double white stripe. This is the first one that actually, like I said, I caught one 2 seasons ago. Now I got this one this year. What a cool animal. Not so much, he's just got a little covered white in his tail. You can see his tail is like peppered black and white. And then you can see here he's got his perfect double stripe down the back. Classic skunk. Like I said, honestly, when I trapped years ago, I caught them not super often, but pretty regularly. But now it's a rarity for me to catch them. Yeah, it's a rarity. Look at those teeth on there. Oh, baby. So yeah, that's a cool catch for me. He didn't spray too much, so not too worried about that. Such a cool animal, they really are. They're kind of, you know, I know trappers hate them. They hate them catching them, but they're a nuisance. But they're pretty wild. Skunk is like a porcupine. He's absolutely, if you've ever approached one in the wild, not in a trap, but if you've ever, like, you know, come across one or had one walk past you or seen one in your yard, they just have no fear, pretty much. They're pretty indifferent to people, just like a porcupine. A porcupine has no fear. I've had porcupines walk right past me. Wouldn't even second look you. Skunk too, they'll walk right past you. If he thinks you're threatening him, you know, he'll stand up and you'll see his tail coming up and when they're gonna spray. But yeah, I'm pleased with that catch. Pleased with that catch. Here he is. Nice double white striped skunk. Pretty cool. I'll take him. I think this is about winding down my trapping season. I caught a couple of nice fox, and I gave the sets another week to see if I could get a coyote to come in, and I have not seen any further canine activity around my cables or anything like that. I've had deer knocking them down, but other than that, I haven't seen any activity. This was the last DP I'd set up. I had two here originally, and I pulled one. I left the cage just in case I got a skunk coming around. But I actually caught him in a DP. That's a first for me. Yeah, caught him in a DP. I thought when I came today it had been raining for 2 or 3 days, and I hadn't changed the bait in the dry cat food I had in that set. And I thought for sure it'd be mush by now, because a lot of times what happens is that if the water gets in it, it turns to mush, and then if it freezes overnight, it's just a solid rock and the trap won't go off. But he managed to dig it out. Skunks are quite the digger. They do have like large front claws, almost like a muskrat actually. But they will dig holes in the ground and they will burrow. They dig people's yards up. That's what most of their complaints are about. Not just having the animal because of his odor, but they do dig holes in yards after grubs and insects and stuff like that. So he is quite a useful animal, but people are just intolerant of them. I actually seen a couple of times last year, there was a burrow out in the cornfield there on the edge of one of the cornfields where there was a big skunk living in it. But I think that skunk got hit in the road. I had seen him a couple of weeks later, and there was a big skunk dead on the side of the road right by the farm. I hate to see that. That's just such a waste. That's so annoying for me. It's the same when I see canines or deer or anything else hit on the highway there. It's just such an annoyance. It really is. I already texted my wife, forewarned her that I'm taking home a skunk. Oh, that poor woman. But actually, if you mix in equal parts hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and Dawn detergent, and then mix that with water, it makes like a foaming agent. If they spray really bad, if you wash them in that, just put them in a bucket and submerge the skunk in it, get his fur all sudsy with that, and, you know, wash them off really well. That will pretty much completely eliminate the odor from it. I know there's an old wives' tale about tomato juice. That doesn't work. Right, Sarge? Whoa. What do you think of that guy, huh? He's a little stinky. All right, let's get going.